1. Introduction to Oracle SQL. Structured Query Language (SQL) is the set of statements with which all programs and users access data in an Oracle database. Application programs and Oracle tools often allow users access to the database without using SQL directly, but these applications in turn must use SQL when executing the user's request. This chapter provides background information on SQL as used by most database systems. This chapter contains these topics: History of SQL, SQL standards, lexical conventions, tools support. History of SQL. Drive E.F. Codd published the paper, A Relational Model of Data for Large Shared Data Banks, in June 1970 in the Association of Computer Machinery, ACM, journal, Communications of the ACM. Codd's model is now accepted as the definitive model for relational database management systems, RDBMS. The language, Structured English Query Language (SQL), was developed by IBM Corporation Incorporated to use Codd's model. SQL later became SQL, still pronounced SQL. In 1979, Relational Software Incorporated, now Oracle, introduced the first commercially available implementation of SQL. Today, SQL is accepted as the standard RDBMS language. SQL standards. Oracle strives to comply with industry-accepted standards and participates actively in SQL standards committees. Industry-accepted committees are the American National Standards Institute, ANSI, and the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, which is affiliated with the International Electrotechnical Commission, IEC. Both ANSI and the ISO/IEC have accepted SQL as the standard language for relational databases. When a new SQL standard is simultaneously published by these organizations, the names of the standards conform to conventions used by the organization, but the standards are technically identical. How SQL works. The strengths of SQL provide benefits for all types of users, including application programmers, database administrators, managers, and end users. Technically speaking, SQL is a data sublanguage. The purpose of SQL is to provide an interface to a relational database such as Oracle Database, and all SQL statements are instructions to the database. In this, SQL differs from general-purpose programming languages like C and BASIC. Among the features of SQL are the following. It processes sets of data as groups rather than as individual units. It provides automatic navigation to the data. It uses statements that are complex and powerful individually, and that therefore stand alone. Flow control statements, such as begin-end, if-then-else, loops, and exception condition handling, were initially not part of SQL and the SQL standard, but they can now be found in ISO/IEC 9075-4 Persistent Stored Modules, SQL/PSM. The PL/SQL extension to Oracle SQL is similar to PSM. SQL lets you work with data at the logical level. You need to be concerned with the implementation details only when you want to manipulate the data. For example, to retrieve a set of rows from a table, you define a condition used to filter the rows. All rows satisfying the condition are retrieved in a single step and can be passed as a unit to the user, to another SQL statement, or to an application. You need not deal with the rows one by one, nor do you have to worry about how they are physically stored or retrieved. All SQL statements use the optimizer, a part of Oracle database that determines the most efficient means of accessing the specified data. Oracle also provides techniques that you can use to make the optimizer perform its job better. SQL provides statements for a variety of tasks, including querying data, inserting, updating, and deleting rows in a table, creating, replacing, altering, and dropping objects, controlling access to the database and its objects, guaranteeing database consistency and integrity. SQL unifies all of the preceding tasks in one consistent language. common language for all relational databases. All major relational database management systems support SQL, so you can transfer all skills you have gained with SQL from one database to another. In addition, all programs written in SQL are portable. They can often be moved from one database to another with very little modification.